Today I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. P Vinay Kumar, famous, very renowned surgical gastroenterologist and eldest son of former Union Minister P Shiv Shankar. He keeps a low profile, but he has come out of the shadow of his father, I think. But he is trying to carry forward his legacy. Welcome to our program,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Vinay.
much. It's a privilege.
He is also writing a biography of his father. His father
I'm editing his autobiography.
editing his autobiography. Sorry, I mean, not many in today's generation, particularly journalists, also may not know about Dr. Shiv Shankar. He was the one who argued on behalf of Indira Gandhi after the emergency during the Shah Commission when many cases were filed against her. And his upbringing also, something must be said about him. He came from a very humble background. He participated in the freedom movement, the Razakar movement, against the Nizam, this thing. And he came up the hard way. And legend has it that he polished shoes at Amritsar railway station when he was studying. And he studied law, became a judge, became first a lawyer, then judge, and then he argued on behalf of Indira Gandhi. Later, the rest, as they say, is history. He became the law minister. And since we are on the topic of judiciary now, given what's happening in the Delhi High Court, he was the one who first initiated the move to transfer judges. Earlier, that was not the case. So it was one of the first judicial reforms in the country. And as his son, Dr. Vinay Kumar, he floated his own party, and now he is with the Congress party. His main cause, he is a doctor who serves patients, and also at the same time, he is a political activist. So he is championing the cause of BCs for a long time now. So let me set the ball rolling. Since, sir, you are editing the autobiography of your father, what are your thoughts on the current state of affairs in the judiciary, given what's happening in Delhi? And what would have been your father's thoughts?
So, since you have mentioned that he argued for Mrs. Gandhi, incidentally, I was in my first year medicine those days. And I was the one who picked up her phone. When she called home, I picked up, and the other side, the voice said, मैं इंदिरा गांधी बात कर रही हूँ, क्या मैं शिव शंकर जी से बात कर सकती हूँ? I still remember those words. And I went and told him, and he said he thought I was pulling his leg. He never came to the phone, and I had to carry it to him. Those days you had those long cords, so I had to unwind it all over, take it to him, and put it there, and then that's how he got into it. And when he won all her cases, she said, I'm so thankful to you for standing by me. Why don't you stand by me in the parliament also? And that's how he entered into politics, and she immediately made him the Union Law Minister, which was a point of great disbelief for us, that the first time he's become an MP and he suddenly become a Law Minister. He was sitting in the crowd amongst the MPs until the cabinet secretary came and said, you're supposed to go on to the swearing dais, and he was surprised.
So he didn't know till the last minute?
No, I mean, they gave him some file and he thought it was something to do with an advice he had to give to Mrs. Gandhi. In fact, while going, he told the secretary also that Mrs. Gandhi won't need me after this because her law minister will take care of all these things. So he went and sat with the MPs. The ministers were designates were sitting elsewhere. So, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of firsts which he did, apart from bringing in the transfer of judges rule. Essentially, that was because he found that in each state, there was one dominant community which was totally dominating the judiciary of the state. And the Chief Justice from 1950, when the Supreme Court and the High Court was formed, from then on until he became the Law Minister in 1980, most of the Chief Justices were from that community. in respective high courts. And since the Chief Justice was from a dominant community, he was also picking up judges from that community. And district magistrates were appointed by them, again from the same community. So even judgments were community based at village level. So this was something he wanted to change. And he brought in the transfer of Chief Justice, meaning that someone coming from Gujarat or Bihar or Uttar Pradesh to Andhra Pradesh will not know the caste equations of the state they are going to. So they will pick up judges from different communities. In fact, it was Damodaram Sanjeevaya who in 1960, when he was the Chief Minister, complained to the then Home Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and the Chief Justice that because of these dominant sections, judgments were being given on only one side. Apart from that, the first judge to the Supreme Court from backward class and scheduled caste was appointed by Mr. Shiv Shankar in 1980. For 30 years, there was no judge from those two sections. So he was the one who picked up judges and took them to Supreme Court. There are a lot of reforms which he did, judicial reforms, like he realized that the poor are losing out on justice, not because justice was not on their side, but because they could not afford justice. They couldn't afford the court fee. They could not, it's just not just the court fee and the lawyer's fee. Let's say someone from the village is put a case in the High Court of Telangana or Andhra Pradesh. He will have to come, the poor guy will have to bear the vehicle charges, transportation, come here and then stay somewhere. And it doesn't end with one hearing. It goes on for years. It's very demoralizing the way, I'm going off track, but let me tell you my own experience. Last 1 year, there's been a case against me. And the judge has heard the case, but it's online, said that about 7-8 appearances, and the lawyer doesn't come at a low price. The judge has written online that I'm not able to dictate the judgment because the clerk who takes the judgment is not there. It's online, official. About 4 or 5 times that has happened. And at the end of 8th time, the judge is transferred. And the new judge has come, and I have to, he says he has to start all over again because he doesn't know the case. So I don't know how long it will take on now again. So all these times, people from rural area, from villages, small time farmers, if they file cases, they have to come to the court, they have to stay somewhere, they have to pay so many charges, and then again come back after 1 month or whatever hearing, they go back because the opponent has not come or submitted his papers. So it's a very expensive thing. So Mr. Shiv Shankar said he leaves it in between because he is not able to continue going behind it. So he's losing out because he doesn't have the money for the case, not because the justice is not. So he brought in free legal aid to the poor, in which he said that the court fee will have to be paid by the government and the court. It has to be shared by both of them. And he pleaded with the advocates. He went to each bar council of each state and pleaded for them to reduce their fees to such clients. That was one thing. And then Lokayukta was started by him. So there are quite a few which have been started. So vis-a-vis today, those days this collegium was not there. It was purely the Chief Justice who was picking up names, and they were being sent to the Supreme Court. and the Supreme Court and the central government would look into it and select judges. Now, of course, the collegium is there in this whole controversy of judges selecting judges. That problem is going on. Well, if you're indicating at the recent money which has been found in one of the Allahabad judges who is now in the Delhi High Court. Originally Allahabad, he's been posted into the Delhi High Court. Well, Justice Bodbe, I think, when he was asked if judges are corrupt, it's there in the videos. He said, I will not answer you directly. I will only say that judges have not come down from heaven. Which essentially, I mean, he's indirectly agreeing that judges are. So, how do we place this thing? If you ask me, then so many things have changed in the society. Which area? I mean, the courts are like Caesar's wife, that she should be above suspicion, but I can't pinpoint and tell you one area where it's not corrupt. I mean, are religious places not corrupt? Temples are thriving on courts. I don't think there can be an exception in the way the world is changing today. How many areas are non-corrupt? I mean, I cannot pinpoint and say this is at least one area which is not corrupt. Because money has become the most important thing. See, if you look at the political scenario changing itself, if you take till 50s, 60s, 70s, the person was just a politician. If you see his biodata, he would write public service and occupation. Then after 80s, people like my father came in, who were basically professionals and advocate, who when he went into politics, left his profession. Then came the 90s and 2000, wherein you had Arun Jaitley or Chidambaram, Singhvi. If they were ministers, they were politicians. When they stepped down from ministry, they went back to the profession. So they were having the best of the two worlds. Then now you have pure businessmen entering into politics. So lot of shifting sands. So I don't know how to.
So the landscape of political landscape has completely changed.
Everything has. I mean, as I said, there's no one area where I can say that the landscape has not changed.
Sir, you are a renowned surgical gastroenterologist. Your father was a famous lawyer. Why didn't you choose the legal profession?
I wanted to be a lawyer. I badly wanted to be a lawyer, but my father was the one who pushed me into medicine. He was very keen. In fact, there was a medical college entrance tutorial those days called Rouse and SSR in Koti. I joined, I was supposed to join SSR tutorial. My father gave me the money. I went and joined Nizam College for BA. And at the end of the year, when I did not get the seat, my father went and told the owner of SSR tutorial that he would sue him, because he said my son is very brilliant and he could not have not got the seat. That guy got scared and checked the register and came and said, sir, your son's name is never in the register. He has never registered himself. So I was very keen on law. The next year, he took me to the college, sat outside while I was writing the entrance. He was that keen. I left a few questions thinking that you can take the horse to the water, but unfortunately, I got the seat in spite of leaving. But I enjoyed the profession. I mean, I loved standing by patients. It's a wonderful feeling. I mean, I don't think any amount of money can buy the feeling that you get when a patient walks in and says, "You are a god. You saved my life." It's something totally different. There's so much warmth which creeps into your heart when he says that. I don't think any other profession you can get that sort of
Then what prompted you to float a new party? I mean, how come there was this transition from your profession? You are still in the profession, but you are also a political
I'm still in
activist.
the profession.
So, what prompted you to take up political activism?
I basically, I never charged in the general ward. I would do about 100, 150 cases free of cost every month in the corporate hospital where I was working, Apollo. Because I could see that the person in the general ward would invariably sell something at home to pay the 4-5 lakhs of bill which would come up. And if I charged about 30-40,000, he would have in excess sold something else to pay that. So I thought this is my contribution to the society if I do it free of cost. At some point of time, I thought this 100, 150 per month is nothing. If I get into political side, with one signature, I can change people's lives. With that thought process, I went into it. At that time only, Chiranjeevi started his party. He went behind me, Arvind, Chiranjeevi, Pawan Kalyan. They requested me to join. That's how I went into an area where I'm not sure whether I'm enjoying it or not, but I'm hoping sometime if I can get into that position where I can help people, I'll be able to enjoy it.
What is your take on the Congress party? You merged your party with the Congress. Now that it is in power after a long time in Telangana, the 6 guarantees. What is your role in all of this? Congress coming to power, ideologically?
My thought process on welfare measures is totally different. I strongly believe that it doesn't help a person's growth at all, at any level. I may be going into controversial waters, but at the same time, he doesn't sort of recognize the point that this thing is being done for him by a political party. I think he takes it that they are doing for votes, I am giving them a vote. It ends over there. So the next time the elections come, he doesn't go along with the point that these people have done this, so I should vote for them. He says, what next? What am I going to get next again now? So if you take example, which I actually spoke to you yesterday on the phone, Rajshekar Reddy gave fees reimbursement to backward classes, Arogyasri, ambulance, 6 hours current free, pension, double bedroom and all that. When the next elections came, out of 294, if 147 was the minimum, he just barely got through. He got 5-6 seats more there, very narrowly. And that too because of Telugu Desham's this thing and Prajarajyam being there. So, even this time, I was reading a news somewhere saying that there's a center for CDA, CSDS or CD. Post-election, they do a detailed study of, and they said backward classes, especially the Kurmas voted for Congress, and that's how it won. And they gave statistics for that. Now, it was the same Kurmas who got the sheep from KCR. So they took the sheep and they voted for Congress. So you cannot take it for granted that you've done something for them. They've got into a mode that if we vote for them, then we won't get new measures. So they are running after new measures. They don't vote for you next time if you don't vote. So I don't think there is a halt to that. But on the other hand, if the political parties realize most of the, see, two things are for sure. People are not tolerating arrogance. They have not tolerated Jagan's arrogance. They have not tolerated KCR's arrogance, and also Narendra Modi. They brought him down from 300. They brought him down to 240 definitely. So you cannot you cannot take me for granted is something the people are clearly saying. The second thing is that if you do a little bit of study, you'll find that they have voted for development. The last time in the center, a party formed a government on its own strength was in 1980. 84 was, of course, over Mrs. Gandhi's death, sympathy, there were various factors. But from there on, until 2014, it has always been coalition governments. Either BJP or Congress, they were all UPA or NDA, they were all. But when it came to 2014, when Modi won, one needs to understand that his main slogan was not, he never said one social welfare measure, like one freebie. In fact, he said, I'm against it. I will not announce any of the freebies. Now he is doing it, but at that point of time. And he always said, अच्छे दिन आएंगे, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, जैसे मैंने गुजरात को डेवलप किया, मैं सारा देश को डेवलप करूँ. So he went on a development plank. Kejriwal said, if we stop corruption, your people will develop. He went on a development plank. KCR said, if you get Telangana, your lives will change. So I personally think that if you can convince people that this, if we come to power, we will develop your lives, we will change your lives. At that point of time, I don't think these freebies will be necessary. This is my personal opinion. And I think that is apart from, and how do you develop people's lives? I mean, you can only do it through education and giving them good health. It's not that, I mean, I was telling someone the other day, it's not that this thing that IAS officers are not there in high levels of office from backward classes. IAS officers are not there in higher levels from backward classes because those who have done IAS from backward classes are themselves in less in number. If you see in Telangana state, the whole state, if you see a senior IAS officer, there's just one, Bura Venkateshan Gaud. Now one or two have joined this year, but otherwise they know. That's because by the time they become 10 years or 12 years, the barber's son is becoming a barber to subsist the family. The washerman's son is going off into washerman community. So they're not going towards education. Two, they're going, because of economic this thing, they're going off into their family, occupational, artisan.
If I may interject in this context, since you are saying this, now there are certain welfare measures. There are certain welfare measures that are being implemented precisely to correct this situation, rectify this situation.
Like?
Say, for instance, there are now caste-based, I mean, residential schools are there for SC, STs. So why do you think, I mean, There is a contradiction in what you're saying.
because of the standards. I went to a village some time back for one of my friends' mother's 10th day ceremony. And the headmaster of the school came there to me. And he said, the school he was the principal of had 1,000 strength, 600 primary and 400 secondary and higher. Thank you. He said his school strength was 175. The students studying in that school of a strength of 1,000 was 175. So I said, are they not interested in studying? He said, in the next village, nearby village, there is a private school which has 600 strength. And he said, parents fight for their children's admission into that school. There's a huge waiting list, there's recommendation, they're fighting, everything. So it's not that the people over there at that lower level don't want their children to be educated. But because the standard of education in government schools is very, very low, they're not believing that if they go there, they will get educated, they'll progress in life. So in each, there's so many villages where there are no roads to that village, but you'll find a private school there. So people do want, if you remember 10 years back, there was a railroad accident near Masaipet, Medak, in which a lot of small children died. All sympathies to those children and their families, but if you see the parents who came there in grief, they had all torn clothes. They were literally looking as the class from the labor. Banians, torn banians, lungis. Why were they sending their children 9, 10, 11 kilometers away from their village for studying? They want. But as you said, residential schools or government schools are more used. This is what I have observed. They're being used by the poor more because one meal will be saved under a midday meal program. They don't have to cook at home or whatever. The residential schools, they don't have to subsist their children at home. Someone else is taking care of them. But at the end, the school dropout rate is very high. Or when they come out also, they're not going into productive areas. Whereas we have so many people who are working, not a very great percentage, but a small percentage who are working their way hard out in these circumstances also. So if you give them a chance, I'm sure tap their talent. Now most of the cricketers who are playing IPL are all from very rural areas. And most of them are not able to speak in English when afterwards the mic is given to them. So there is a lot of talent. The country of such big proportion can't have not have people from talent. I think the government has to change its priorities.
Your party is in power. Rahul Gandhi, your Congress party leader, has given the call. Itni abadi, jitna abadi, utna hak. Now, in that context, since Congress party is in power, it can do what it wants now. They are saying that they have conducted a survey of BCs now. But most of, they have brought in a bill also now, 42% reservation. Do you think that will help? But that is only, that may or may not be constitutionally feasible. So, how do you think the party should go ahead from here on? If they want to implement it in letter and spirit.
That particular thing, 42%, they cannot do it. I think it's very, very difficult. Let me be. Because the last time it was done was by Tamil Nadu in 1991. And that was when Tamil Nadu went into 69% of reservations and that the central government put it in the 9th schedule. Now, before you put it in the 9th schedule, a constitutional amendment has to be brought in for Article 14.4 and 15.4. The central government at that time did it because P V Narasimha was dependent on Jayalalitha in 91. He was a minority government, and one of the parties which was supporting from outside was Jayalalitha. So he did it at that time. He brought in a constitutional amendment and put it in the 9th schedule. 9th schedule is something which actually says that if something is in the 9th schedule, the High Court and Supreme Court cannot interfere in it. But in 2007, there is a judgment where the Supreme Court said it can question the 9th schedule also. But that is beyond the point. At that time, Jayalalitha has got it done, and she got the support of other opposition parties like DMK or MDMK, whichever were there at that time, because they realized that the central government being dependent on the Tamil Nadu government, they will definitely agree to her request, and if they don't go along, then they will fall back amongst the weaker sections. So they went and they went en bloc, they requested the central government, it was done. Today, the BJP government is not dependent on the Telangana government. So everyone knows that they don't need to do it. So TRS will not go along. And the BJP has its way out. I mean, it will very simply say, you remove Muslims from that, we'll do it, which the Congress will never do. So once the Congress doesn't do it, doesn't remove Muslims, BJP won't support. It will not go through. So that constitutional amendment itself will not come, and once that doesn't come, it doesn't stand in Supreme Court.
There was a contempt of court case against your father.
Yeah.
For a speech. You said things have changed. Quoting him, he said it was a heaven of bright burners, Farah violators. The courts have things changed. What do you?
That time, this was one of them. When he was addressing the bar in the High Court here, when he came to talk about the free legal aid to the poor, he said this. And he said that the court has always gone with the haves and left out the have-nots. And he also said that when privy purses was removed, Supreme Court supported privy purses being there, supported the kings, and that they should be retained, can retain their whatever. And then he also quoted Keshav Nanda Bharati case in that. In fact, Prashant Bhushan said what Shiv Shankar had said at that time. I have not even said 1% of what he said. He quoted, and he was left free, and I'm just because he was a union minister. But yeah, I mean, if you say, has it changed in any way, I think it's become worse. I don't think, I mean, if you want me to give quotes, I can study and give you. But from looking at the newspapers, how so many people are going scot-free, court has also to be proactive. I mean, the last time Dushyant Dave has said that before the Chief Justice, has said that the list is being changed. We are preparing for a case, we take months to prepare for a case, and suddenly the day our case is scheduled, when we come here, the case is not there. And the Chief Justice, obviously, he said, we all know why it's being changed. I don't know whether he was hinting or whether we should take it that money plays a part in non-listed cases coming in, whatever. But what was shocking was that the Chief Justice at that time said that I know these things are happening. Much more is happening in the Supreme Court, which I will reveal to everyone after 15 days when I retire. Now, the Chief Justice is the absolute authority of the Supreme Court. If anyone can change, it is you who can change it. And rather than saying, I will change it, you're saying, I know these things are happening, but I will comment on them after I retire. Now, what is the point in commenting after you've retired? Who is going to change it? You are the one who has the capacity to change it. And rather than taking a proactive measure on that, you're saying, let me retire and then I'll comment on it. So I don't think, I think it's not just this money which has been found. There are people who tell me that they know who can go through whom and get judgments in their favor. That's why I said every section has changed.
The NJAC bill and the judiciary opposed it.
What?
On the NJAC bill in 2014, the collegium system to the government. It was opposed by the judiciary, and there was a dissent.
What was your father's view on the collegium system? Judges appointing judges.
No, he was not in the picture when this came up.
He was there when the judgment came up.
When he
Not active, but he was there.
Yeah, I've never gone into that. Those days I was totally into my medicine. We never asked him. Today I wish I could ask him. Even this book also, he did dictate some. He actually, the one who wrote Abdul Kalam's autobiography came to him, but both had their own ideas as how to write the book. So they didn't come on to a common point, because my father said, it's my life, you have to write it according to me. And that person said, I have the experience to write, so I will write as I want it. 3-4 people had come. Finally, he dictated it himself, and I sat through COVID to edit it. He would have been very happy with the outcome. But there are a lot of things like this, and a few others also which are there, which I would have liked to have his opinion about, like collegium system. I regret I was too much into my own practice, wanting to come up. I was in a different zone, different life altogether. It was a life of no friends, nothing, all focused onto my profession, my patients. That I have a very deep regrets that I didn't pick up this book when he was alive, because he was very desperate to write it, and he didn't get a writer at that time.
When will you release this book?
I'm hoping for 10th of August, which is his birthday. I have signed a contract with the publisher, an international book agency. But yeah, so if you ask me about this is one area where I regret. There are a few other delicate areas which I would have liked to have his opinion on. If I tell you that, then it will automatically mean that it's not coming in the book, and I don't want to release that. So I'd rather keep it closed.
You mentioned that you went to villages. You found the schools there, government schools. There was a previous guest on Hyderabad Dialogues a few weeks ago who was a product of a residential school. According to him, the reason for government schools lagging behind was earlier he said that educated women didn't have any options, and they had to enter the teaching profession. Now they are in the rightful place in the board council, so the quality has come down. He said it was not just a problem here. He lives in the US, so he said it's the same in America as well. What do you think can be made to improve government schools? Right? People are sending their kids to, say, private schools.
See, in the US, you have these public schools. The government schools are the public schools there. And very few, even the richest of rich, send their children to private schools. 90% of them sent to the government school because the government school standards are very high. And interestingly, a school in a particular community, in a certain locality, the parents of the children who are studying there have to be on the board by cycles, because they, since their children are studying and they know the standards at home, how the children are, so they should give suggestions as to where the school should improve, where it is going down and things like that. So everyone is involved in the school because that's the future. It's like John F. Kennedy saying that the roads in America did not improve because America developed. He said America developed because the roads were good. So similarly, the education was a foundation over there. Now over here, I keep on saying one point, that in 2018 election, not in 2018, after that, somewhere after this COVID, just before the 2024 election, 23 elections, KCR wrote a letter to the election commission saying that don't give symbols similar to our car symbol. And he said that when you're giving it to similar symbols, you gave the roti maker. No, roti maker. He said roti maker to one person in Dubaka by election, and that guy got 3,000 votes, and we lost by 1,400 votes because people got confused. And he said that if you had not given it to him, I mean, his own neighbors don't know him. So for him to get 3,000 votes, it's only out of confusion of symbol. And if you had not given, we would have won by 1,600 votes. And then so he gave bus, tractor, bulldozer, television, camera, palanquin, roti maker. So now if the ruler of the state is saying that my people can't differentiate between a camera and a car, between a roti maker and a car, you are accepting the level of education of your people. So where do you need to focus? Your focus needs to be to see to it that, leave alone seeing the symbols, they can see the list and vote. They can read the list and vote. But every time there is a fight over, whenever there is a split in the party over the symbols issue, because people are so illiterate and that symbol is imprinted in their mind. So how is this country going to, basically I suspect that they don't want them to read the list and vote. They want to be struck in that symbol issue. So that is why education is, I mean, the same KCR in 2019 went to Delhi, went to some Basti schools there, saw them and said, this is wonderful the way Kejriwal has done. I'm going to go back and send a commission which will read this, and next year I'll implement this. And nothing has happened. I will tell you one very, very, I mean, shows how much these people care for education. One vice chancellor had died, I mean, ex-vice chancellor. And it was in this, right opposite this Paryatak Bhavan, there was this anniversary. And Rajiv Sharma, the former CS, Vinod Kumar, and one politician. I mean, I'm not telling the politician's name because of what I'll tell you. Rajiv Sharma came up and said, I didn't know this person because I never held education portfolio, so I cannot say much about him. Vinod Kumar said, I was not in Osmania University, I was in Kakatiya University, so I don't know much about this place. When this politician, senior politician, he was a former education minister, I was thinking that he will speak at least something about the Vice Chancellor. He picked up the mic and he said, I have an urgent call to attend. I have been asked to come urgently, so I cannot proceed. He kept down the mic and went off. Next day I called him. I said, I thought you will be the only one who will speak about that person. Because I wanted to speak saying that this particular Vice Chancellor was only the second person in the state who came from the academic side. Everyone else were the political appointees. So I wanted to say something, but for some reason of my own, I didn't go and talk. Now this politician tells me the next day, you know what happened when I picked up the mic? I forgot that guy's name. I said, whose name you forgot? He said, the Vice Chancellor for whose anniversary I came to. I said, what are you talking about? He said, kya karo? I forgot. I said, the simple thing was you could have looked at the back, found his name on the banner. He said, Arey, what are you talking? The whole audience would have known that I've forgotten and I saw his name from the back. So that is the importance, the value they give for education. I mean, both of them, education and health. Not for me, please. Thanks. Even health. Today, if there's no funds, but still they're pursuing with Arogyasri or whatever, you tell me what is the difference between a government hospital, Usmania Hospital, and an Apollo or Yashoda? It's just the equipment. The doctors are in Yashoda, Apollo, and all. I am from Usmania. I was forced to leave Usmania because after I did my super specialization in surgical gastroenterology from England, in spite of having all the influence I had, I tried my best and I could not get laparoscopic equipment to Usmania. I know how much I tried. And if I was there, my whole expertise was going to go redundant. So I was forced to leave. Now, the structure, everything is the same except the equipment. And when you have advanced equipment, then that you can compete with any corporate hospital. NIMS is a standing example. NIMS is as good as any corporate hospital. But I get at least 10 to 15 calls every month saying there are no beds in NIMS. Can you talk to someone and get me beds? But I never get a call from Usmania for beds because it's all empty usually. People say, ask them to take care of us properly, not the beds issue. Now, why? Because of equipment. It is the infrastructure which is lacking grossly in government hospitals. And why is the infrastructure lacking? In a corporate hospital, what you look out for is the commercials. What is the returns we are getting? So there is like iPhone 15 and 16, there is no difference at all. So an MRI, Tesla 5, Tesla 6 or Tesla 4, there is no difference. The only difference is that you can advertise that this is Tesla 5, the most recent, latest, and make more patients come to you, make more money out of it. Only for that. But film wise, the quality wise, there's not much of a difference. So the corporate hospital buys the latest equipment because they don't want credit. They don't want this thing of this is a nice hospital, they take care of us well. All they want is how much of money we are getting out of it. Whereas in government hospitals, it is taking good care of the patients and things like that. Now, for the government, this is what I suspect, for the government, when you look at credit, the Chief Minister gives everything which is there needed for the government hospital, he equips it. But When the patient goes out, does he give credit to the chief minister for equipping the hospital completely? He doesn't. So what happens? Pregnant women were going into private sector because there was a risk to them and their child inside them. Poor pregnant women didn't want to take a risk for both of them because there is no equipment. Now KCR, rather than correcting that lacunae and seeing to it that they go to government hospital, what does he do? He doesn't put in that extra equipment because of which they are not going there. He says, you go to the government hospital and deliver. I'll give you a KCR kit which will have 13,000 rupees in that. And everyone is standing in a line to deliver in a government hospital. I have a whole list of people who died of sepsis because antibiotics were not there, theatre sterilization was not proper, mother and child. But they are not bothered. These politicians are not bothered because if you die, you are not a voter. As simple as that.
It is surprising. I mean,
It's enough if you are taking the 13,000 rupees and then the giver becomes the god.
do you really think they think that way?
Otherwise, why are they doing it? That same 13,000 rupees, giving it to those thousands of people, why can't they use it for equipment? Why can't they correct what is needed to be done for them to automatically go there? Patients are going and paying through their nose reluctantly, but they are not going to government hospital.
But now they are saying that they are starting. They have started medical colleges, hospitals in every district. This is
Yeah.
a government program, and BRS also claims that during their time they started some 17. I don't remember.
Fine. How many of them are equipped,
And
please?
then they also started this so-called Tim's Hospital immediately after COVID.
Hmm.
That's
That's got closed, no? That got closed long back.
Now the question is, what is the Congress government? They have come to power.
Congress government, unfortunately, is tied with these welfare measures. It doesn't have budget for these welfare measures. It has made certain promises which it wants to fulfill. The budget is not there. Now, where is the money for the developmental activities? Where are they going to get money for that? If they have, the first priority is those promises. For that itself, there is no money. Now, if they go and do that, to whatever extent, there is not going to be any money for developmental activities. So, these freebies, these social welfare measures have to stop. I don't know if the Supreme Court has to come in between. I don't know, because political parties can't sit together and say, let us stop this. Because as KCR once said in the assembly, any political party wants to come to power and it will use any ways and means. Name power లకు రావడానికి ఏమన్నా చేస్తాం, దానికి మిసబిసలు ఎందుకు, he said. So in that scenario, how are you going to what do you call look at developmental activities? You please tell me, other than Hyderabad, and that too because of the push from all these IT companies and all, what else has developed? Has Hyderabad infrastructure developed by way of drainage system, by way of roads? Cyberabad, the roads have developed, and anything connected with that, the connection is airport. So, I mean, for example, when I put my party, one of the things I had said was that I will here and now stop the expansion of Hyderabad, and I will decentralize everything to the districts. I will allocate one particular specialization to each district. For example, if I say Mehboob Nagar will be the IT center for the state, then someone coming from all those Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, for him Hyderabad is also a new place, Mehboob Nagar is also a new place. If he is getting the same sort of job, why will he not go there? So if you have to increase your improve your employment, that is the only way. Because now everyone is trying to come to Hyderabad. There is no employment here. Whereas if you develop Mehboob Nagar, in a lot of ways, employment will start getting generated over there, private and government, by leaps and bounds. I thought people won't go there because of the sort of infrastructure they need to go to Mehboob Nagar, which the government has to do. Schools for their children, health areas for themselves. You know the answer I got from politicians. They said, what are you talking, Dr. Saab? Basically now all IT sector wants are pubs. And there are no pubs in Mehboob Nagar. They will not go there. Then give them pubs. What is, I mean, why can't you do it? You know, it's very easy to give pubs, no? That's far more easier than hospitals and otherwise, how will districts improve?
This Congress government has come up with the mega master plan for industrialization.
Yeah, but again, that's only in and around Hyderabad, no? How much can Hyderabad take it? To what extent? And where are you doing it? You're doing it all in agricultural lands.
The fourth city, for example.
Yeah, even that is all agricultural lands. And the farmer is one person who, if you take away his land, he's the only professional who cannot do anything else in the world. He can only do farming and nothing else. I mean, I know of so many farmers who have taken 5 crores, 6 crores for their 1 acre, 2 acres land. And after 4 or 5 years, they don't have money, they don't have land to do farming. Yeah, all over. They don't have, the two very distinct things about a farmer. He's the only person in this world who works 365 days a year. He can't take a day off and say, I won't put water in my farm, feed fodder to my cattle. I mean, for us, we take a day off because we need that stress release. I've made a study of it. That is the reason why suicides are the highest in farming community all over the world, because the stress accumulates in them. But whenever you're expanding a city, you're going into farming area. Fourth city, fifth city is all, and to what extent? And as you're doing that, your cost of living in the city increases because vegetables and food products have to come from so far away. The transportation is high. So this can go on for hours. The solution, like, yeah.
Sir, with what objectives you have established the political party Telangana Samaja Party, and why did you merge it with Congress Party without achieving any objectives?
Yeah, because why did I start it? My primary thing was again health and education. Health was what I told you, to concentrate on government. Now, as far as education was concerned, I said that from the time my son is born, he sees books in my hands. And he thinks this is my future. You go to any village, a shepherd taking his sheep to graze, he will have his 2-year-old son also naked running with a stick in his hand. You can visualize that. So it gets ingrained in him since birth that my father is doing it, I'll have to do this. Now, one of the things which I said was that because if you say you will not give this freebie social welfare measures, you will not get votes. So I said I will do these things, whatever social welfare measures, but I will establish good schools in all the villages, make education compulsory, and give these freebies only to those families which are putting their children in schools. Those families which are not putting their children in schools will not get these social welfare measures. By that way, I was hoping that over a period of time, the economic stability of that family will improve, because an illiterate, uneducated father will put the regular fodder to the buffalo and gets 2 liters out of it. The educated son will know what to put to get 10 liters out of it. So his income, everything will increase. So for everything I had for education, that sort of an idea, health, decentralization of Hyderabad. I mean, yeah, I can't tell you now, but if I tell you what I thought of Adilabad, Adilabad would have been one of the foremost districts in the country if I had my way. So I did this. Where I was disappointed was the sort of money. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, my father left his ideology to me and not any money. And the day I graduated from medicine, that was the last day I took any money from him. I had about 1 crore by way of donation and my own thing over a period of time for this political party. A couple of my friends gave money. That just went off in 2 or 3 meetings. If you want people to attend meeting, you have to pay them. You have to give them vehicles. You have to give them food. And every small meeting of 400 or 500 people was costing 10, 15 lakhs. And leave that, I just now told you, I never charged in the general ward. The people who were working with me, they said, sir, we don't know what you did, but if we went to about 100 villages, and about 60 villages, at least 2-3 people came and said, Arey, Vinay sir has started a party, is it? If we are living today, it is because of Vinay sir. He not only did the surgery and saved our lives, but he did it free of cost and all. But when these people asked them whether they'll join the party, I mean, you know what they said? They said, we can't come and ask Vinay sir for money, no. So even those who are acknowledging that I've saved life want money from me. And then they were saying, no, we are committed to someone else. What commitment? Again, money commitment. So when they themselves don't want to change their lives, what am I being stupid running behind them and saying, come and change your lives? I was very disappointed, admitted. Very, very disappointed.
So you have all mentioned about the importance of equipments in government hospitals and all. So what do you think about the latest situation in Hyderabad or in Telangana as such? Apart from the government hospitals, even private hospitals, what sort of equipments would help you or the patients, especially in your particular field of expertise?
No, private place, it's absolutely filled with equipment. The latest of equipment is there. And they know how to market it also. I mean, if you say, how will it benefit? I'm very, very clear on it. It will benefit only the corporate sector. I mean, the owners of the hospital and no one else.
Right.
And it's see, the other day when one person told me, one big time person, he said, this person should not have started this hospital, because after starting this hospital, now whenever he is seeing a patient, there is a calculation going on in his mind saying, how do I get my water bill from this person, current bill from this person. So there are criteria other than the patient which are running in the mind of the person, and investigations are being written on that basis. So if you ask me bluntly, how will it benefit? It will benefit the person. I mean, I'm very sorry, but it's amazing the way marketing things are being brought out. I would be talking against my colleagues, but there are a lot of things which are going on which are not necessary for the patients. I can only say that.
Do you think, sir, that only money, as I said, money making things are being in politics, being in the medicine field, does God's complex also play a part in it? Like, I have the power, and people like being patients or be common people, and they have to depend on us. So, is there, like, do they believe in that? Like, do they suffer from it?
You mean the megalomanianism? I don't think so. I mean, it's the whole focus is only on money making, and if people are coming to you thinking you are the ultimate in that field, then there's a bonus for you. You're making more money out of that sort of feeling. I mean, there is a person who I keep saying that there are a lot of people who call me for acidity. They say we'd like to come and get treated by you. I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal. I'm just telling you what's happening. I tell them that I'll give you medicine, you take it. They say, sir, since 25 years we've been taking from this particular person, 30 years. So we would like you to see us once. But it's very clear. I mean, so I tell them, I think now if he has to come, he's coming from a district, he has his transportation. Then when he comes here, he'll have to pay my consultation fees. So I tell them that do one thing. I'll send you a medication. You start taking it. I am busy for the next 4-5 days. At the end of 4-5 days, you call me and come over. 90% of the patients, why 95% of the patients, either when they call or when I call them and say, are you coming? They say, no sir, with this medication my problem is gone, why do I need to come? Now, to a lot of people, acidity, constipation, the commonest things are not life-threatening. They cause discomfort but not life-threatening. I mean, they cause burning in the stomach. Constipation is, it's been imbibed in us that if we get up at 6 o'clock and don't pass motion by 6:30, then there's a whole lot of poison in my body sort of feeling. So, all these people add up to their waiting period outside their clinic to show to the general public that I'm so busy, there's so many people waiting for you. So the more they don't get cured, the better it is for you. They add up. They don't die from it. They sit outside your. I'm serious. I know that's how it's.
You are very blunt.
Well,
One more thing. See, recently the Prime Minister said, and everybody has been saying it, I mean, political leaders, that young people should come out of politics. If you yourself, son of a no leader of great stature, are finding it difficult, I mean, I think so. How difficult or easy it is for any ordinary, I mean, suppose a youngster is there, why would anybody want to come into politics? Is there no
this
incentive?
I've been saying, I myself have been saying since I was a young person. I mean, 20 years, 30 years back, I said that the youth also should take politics as a profession, as engineering, as medicine, as computers and things like that. Because today the youth is thinking that it's unscrupulous people who are unscrupulous to get into politics. Only thieves and whatever corrupt take up that thing. And I said that if youth keep thinking that then they will be ruled by the unscrupulous. So until those who think different come into it. Well, I've been saying it since 20, 30 years. Maybe I'll say it for another 10, 20 years. But nothing is going to change. I mean, who's going to encourage the youth? Tell me, there's so many youth who are coming and sitting in the party again just to say that there's so many followers, like the patients have been saying. But how many get the opportunity? Where are you encouraging the youth? I mean, those who are totally into it, have made 100 crores. Now their aim is to make 150 crores. Please understand that money and power never satisfy a person. If you are Sarpanch, you want to become an MPTC. If you are an MPTC, you want to become an MLA. MLA wants to become a minister. Minister wants to become a chief minister. So there is no end to it. So there is no satisfaction with one point. So those who are in money, he will. The next step for him, if you keep saying that you want youth there, that youth will be his son. That youth will be his progeny. It won't be anyone else. And that's been happening in every field. There was a book by George Godboy, who's an American author, who wrote judges of Supreme Court and High Courts between 1950 to 1989. I have the PDF if you want. And he says that 70% of judges are all judges' children. Either Chief Justice in Supreme Court also. So you are established in that field. You have there's nothing called nepotism. You're already there. You've made a. Why do you want your son to go and make a new beginning in a field which you people are not familiar? This is not a right word, this nepotism. He's established himself there. He knows the nuts and bolts. It's easy for his son to follow there. So if you say you want youth, then it will be his son, his progeny.
So it's very difficult for an outsider.
It's very difficult for an outsider. It's very, very difficult for a Shah Rukh Khan. It's very easy for a Salman Khan, Ahmed Khan. Youth.
Your brother was in politics.
My brother was in politics. My brother was Youth Congress president.
He was also a legislator.
He is in Malakpet, MLA. Passed away in 2002, unfortunately.
He studied.
He studied here. Both of us were in HPS. And then he did his BA in law from Nizam College and Osmania University. While I went into my medicine.
One final question on politics. See, now, if you observe interestingly, BJP wants to gather or consolidate BC votes behind it. The Congress also wants to do the same. So how do you see this panning out? How will they go forward? The Congress is very likely, BJP is very likely to appoint a BC leader again as its state chief. So they are going to go after the BC. They are numerically stronger community. Numerically.
I still think that if you talk about development, all sections will go with you.
So this kind of caste politics.
It doesn't work out.
You won't think so?
I don't think it works. You talk of all-round development, which is what Hindutva is. BJP's Hindutva is an all-round thing, no? Into which forward classes fit, backward classes fit, scheduled castes fit, and that is why even in a place like Uttar Pradesh, wherein Mayawati, the scheduled caste reserved seats are 33, BJP won all 33. Because their development, their Hindutva, everything fitted into it. They sort of rearrange themselves so that everything fits into it. As far as Telangana is concerned, backward classes is a very strong community. And I think I have told you, I have the statistics also. In 10 elections, 1983, since the time Telugu Desam came, up till now, this is the only time Congress got above 60. Got above 60 in Telangana. In Telangana, even when the combined Andhra Pradesh in 294 seats, if there were 175 in Andhra and 119 in Telangana, at no time did Congress cross 40. There were times when in 1985 and in 1994, Congress got only 10 seats. And if Congress got 10 seats out of 119, then who got the 110 seats? It was Telugudesam which got the 110 seats. And we know which sections were supporting Telugudesam, which were sections were supporting Congress. Congress had a solid support of Reddis, Muslims, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. But still, this 50 or 55% was not with them. That 50-55% was going to Telugudesam, the backward classes. With that one section, I mean, obviously, Telangana doesn't have much of a Kamma population. I don't want to go so deep into it. So, who was supporting Telugudesam? It was BCs. And they were getting a huge chunk of votes. This is the first time again that same CDCS report has said that backward classes have gone with Congress. This is the first time in all these 60 years. And they got a majority. Are they going to stick to it? The BJP, the problem is, except that North, Adilabad and Karimnagar, they don't have people at the grassroots and
Interior.
and because last time also their show in MLA assembly was very, very poor. Their winning, not in Telangana, Andhra also. Yeah, because this Banchan Dora and all that is more in Telangana. The Doratanamu or whatever is in Telangana. So these people are more conscious of that. And that Chandrababu Naidu perfectly captured. If you see, you had Yanamal Ramakrishna as a finance minister, Devendra Gaud home minister, you had Tamirini Sitaram BC as a municipal administration, you had a Eran Naidu as a revenue minister, you had a Chandrasekhar Mudiraj as one minister. So there was out of 25 or 30, at least 10-15 were backward classes. So he saw the demography and he now also of 3 MLCs, he sent 2 from backward class. I mean, I was reading somewhere when the center asked for 9 judges' names, Telugudesam sent 7 backward classes. Out of 16 last time, not now, out of 16 vice chancellors, 12 were from backward class. So he knows this is a big section, I have to attract them 50-55%.
About the Congress party.
Once I am there, if I am in power, I can do whatever I want for my own community. But for that, I have to sit somewhere. You are asking something.
What about Congress party? Why are not they doing? Or are they doing? Are they trying at least?
See, I'll tell you what one Andhra minister told me. He said, sir, the difference between Reddis and Kammas is, the Kammas say that as long as our party is in power and our person is in power, that is enough for us. So a multi-millionaire from US comes and even if his constituency is a reserved scheduled caste constituency, he sits there to see that MLA wins so that it adds up to Chandrababu Naidu becoming the chief minister. This is what he told me. He said, whereas we Reddis, we want only our person to win from any party. It doesn't matter which party even. Maavad Gelwali. So, in that thing, they are not looking at the actual seat of power. Adi tarvata vastadi. First MLA ga matram my person has to win. So, it's getting diluted over here. Whereas over there, it's getting concentrated onto their section.
Finally, we cannot let you go without asking questions on health.
I thought you asked him.
What health? Because why I'm asking is that it's important because we are on social media. Now there is AI, grow up and everything. I see that on Twitter there are so many accounts. prescribing vitamin for this, prescribing vitamin for that.
I'll tell you something. Multivitamins are actually beneficial only to the pharmaceutical companies they manufacture. They are not useful to patients. There are very few cases. There's so much of multivitamins in the food we eat that 99% of that vitamin which has gone into the body next day comes out from the fecal matter, because the body already has so much of multivitamin.
Because nowadays we see that many people, I mean, so many people take vitamin D without fail, B complex without fail, zinc without fail. Some people take iron.
Vitamin D is necessary. Vitamin D insufficiency has its own problems. US, it's compulsory that you take it every month as a maintenance. So here also, to those whom we have got them to the appropriate levels, after 2-3 months we see that it falls. So we say that for every week you take it for 6 to 8 weeks. After that, take a maintenance dose once a month, compulsory. But that is only for that. Vegetarians we have what we call as the B12 carrier in the stomach. That is there in the stomach wall, and when B12 comes in by way of food, that latches onto that B12 and takes it into the bloodstream. That carrier is absent in vegetarians. They don't have it. So for that reason, vegetarians keep getting shortfall of B12. So they have to take it. And unfortunately, even if you take it orally, because that carrier is not there, it is not taken into the bloodstream. So you have to take it injectably.
So this popping the pills like that won't work.
It is not going to help.
So you have to
Multivitamins, definitely.
So this B complex.
B complexes doesn't work out. I mean, as I said, it's useful to the. See, I'll tell you. I mean, let me. When someone comes from acidity, I mean, I'm just going a little for all of your knowledge. This is not for.
Because we journalists, many of us suffer from it.
This is not.
Because they work late.
Previously, this is more as a knowledge I'm saying, not for the newspaper. Previously, spicy food. The stomach brings out 1500 ml of acid every day. It digests 60% of the food, which is not non-fatty, non-oily. So, spicy food, citrus foods, khatta, and then heavy smoking, heavy alcohol, and those who take painkillers, elderly people for knee joints, hip joint pain. For them, the 1500 would go to 2000, and that caused acidity. Today, foods and these things causing acidity has come down to 20%. 80% of people who are suffering from acidity are someone who don't take these things, are someone whom their acid levels are not going beyond that 1500 ml. They are remaining less than 1500, but giving acidic symptoms. Now, who are these people? As you just now said, let's say someone takes his breakfast at 8 o'clock, his lunch at 2, his dinner at 8 o'clock. Around 7:30 or 7:45, the brain tells the stomach that Mr. Kalyan Chakravarti is likely to take his food at 8. So you secrete a bit of acid and be ready for the oncoming food. Now Mr. Kalyan Chakravarti doesn't take his food at 8 but takes it at 10. Then since there is no food for digest for that acid, it starts affecting the stomach wall. So the level is normal, but the timing of food is affecting it. And between 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there is a 6 hours gap. It's a small gap. And in that, you may have some biscuits, you may have a cup of tea, or if not anything, you have water. So the acid is diluted. Similarly, from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock in the night, Similarly, 6 hours gap. Short gap and you're having something to dilute the acid. But night 8 to next day morning 8, it's a 12 hours long gap. And you're not doing anything but sleeping. So if that's why the next day morning it is breakfast, you are breaking a fast, overnight fast. Now, if you are taking your food instead, breakfast at 10, 11 instead of 8, then you are making 12 hours into 15 hours, which is what is affecting the, making the acid to act on you even higher. So, if you see these new techies or these youngsters, you are in a field wherein you have to work in the night to get out the newspaper and things. But routinely all over the world, my children, all people who have children will know that their children don't go to sleep until 2, 3 in the night. And they're getting up at 10, 11 in the morning. It's become a routine for everyone. And so this timing of foods have gone haywire. And invariably 90% of IT sector comes to us with acidity because of this.
Recently, there was a UOH study that I saw that most of these IT techies are suffering from obesity.
Yeah, because that though they're sitting and doing. I remember there was one movie, Adursani, andalo someone says, Nik potta undi to Brahmanandam. He says, Nen kurchan mantralu chaduta unta. Anta potta lakapothe alaga naku. So, but that is for the sedentary life. But what I'm saying is that the other thing again which is contributing is stress. Okay. Stress doesn't mean someone has passed away in your house, someone has a catastrophe at home, there was a huge thing, your hands start trembling, you're sweating. No, not that sort of stress. The everyday stress. It could be office stress, it could be your children's academic stress, it could be a relationship between husband and wife, every stress. There is a threshold called stress. Like there is a threshold for pain. For some people, when an ant bites them, it's as if a scorpion has bitten. For some people, if a scorpion has bitten them, it is like an ant which has bitten them. So similarly, threshold, they cannot take small stress also. And today's generation is not being able to take that small stress. As the generation is progressing, for some reason, their threshold levels to stress is lower.
Because of pampering at home?
Maybe. So, there is a lining layer on the stomach which prevents the acid from coming in touch with the stomach wall. And in people who have stress, there are cracks in that lining layer and the acid seeps through it. We know that stress causes increased skin problems. I mean, any one of them, not just this one system. Dermatological problems have come by stress. You have asthmatics who have more asthma attacks during stress, acidity, lot of these sort of things, migraine. All these are discomfort causing, they are not life threatening. But you should not allow stress to go and affect the heart, and that is where it creates problems.
Recently,
So, the best way is one good morning exercise. You get something called endorphins, which are relaxation hormones, which are released. They control stress. Otherwise, you'll have to go to the counselor. But my idea is when you can control the stress, why do you want someone else to control it?
What are the natural stress busters in our bodies?
Endorphins. Those are the hormones.
but
They
something you need
release
to exercise.
automatically.
Yeah, they get released. I mean, but that they do it with exercise. Good.
Why we do
Yeah, good cardio exercise. Not
Lifting
just
weights,
weightlifting also increases heart rate definitely. But ఏదో వాక్ చేయమన్నారు కదా అని పార్క్ లో కూర్చొని జే వాకింగ్ గర్ల్ ఫ్రెండ్ చేయి పట్టుకొని పాటలు పాడుకుంటే కుదరదు కదా. యూ టు రియలీ ఇంక్రీజ్ ద పేస్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ హార్ట్.
It's
That's-
very important because like I should not say, but many of my friends, even colleagues, young people, they all have a therapist nowadays.
Yeah,
They all have a therapist nowadays,
Yeah.
personal therapist,
Yeah.
which I never heard of in my day. I mean, when I was young. Seriously, I don't know what you said is.
and someone will have to thrive, no? The therapist is thriving.
It is a family doctor concept. Sir.
Sir, how do you see AI giving medical prescriptions? Outgrow and acidity, it's giving medical
I'm-
prescriptions for everything, and it is almost.
I am very scared of e-patient. I'll tell you. Very, very scared of e-patient. I'll tell you, there is no drug in the world which doesn't have a side effect.
Okay, sir, but-
Absolutely no drug. And especially US, they tell every side effect because they don't want legal problems. So all that is there in this Google, in this AI or whatever. When I mean, at least you are young. I am 62. Until 50 years ago, I never heard of shelf life for food. Now every food has expiry dates.
Expiry date, yes.
Even
for dry fruits.
I'll tell you, there are medicines in my house which I should not say, but I have used 2 years after their expiry date. They have been effective and there's no side effect. It's basically that to avoid those legal problems, number one. Number two, for their marketability. Today, everything is manufactured according to marketability. After 8 years or so, your TV stops working because they curate like that. You have to buy another Sony. Otherwise, how will Sony sustain? Air conditioners, they stop working after 10. So, huh?
So this
Yeah.
expiry date is. I mean, they just give it for the sake of it.
Legal this thing. Otherwise, Kalyan Garu, when I studied, there was that Chaush అనేవాడు బయట ఐస్ పైన కలర్డ్ వాటర్ వేసి ఇచ్చేవాడు. అక్కడ ప్రతి ఒక్కడు పక్కనే ఉచ్చబోసేవాడు. ఆ నీళ్ళు ఎక్కడవో తెలీదు. We had all that when we were kids. Today our classmate, same classmate, goes to US. When he comes back, he drinks absolute mineral water and has diarrhea now. So that's how your immunity levels have gone down. How did more people survive from COVID? Because of herd immunity through exposure to other people with COVID, silent COVID. That's how we said no. Vaccine also is a immunity being transferred to someone else. ఎవరి దగ్గర ఉందో దాన్ని తీసుకొని ఇంకొకటికి ఇస్తున్నారు కదా.
But ఇప్పుడు ఒకటి ఉందండి, there are so many studies that I keep coming across that post-COVID, because of the vaccines, that there are so many side effects, even be it sudden heart attacks because of which people are dying, even young people. Some people are getting cancer. Is there any connection?
క్యాన్సర్ లేదు కానీ హార్ట్ అటాక్స్ ఎస్.
Because of the COVID vaccine.
Because of the COVID itself or COVID vaccine, we don't know. See, COVID is one thing, we have no idea what it was. Even till today, no one knows what COVID was. They said people with comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension are at a higher risk. I'll tell you, they were Hanumantrao couldn't have been a better example of an obese person, absolute asthmatic, uncontrolled diabetes, uncontrolled hypertension, just walked into the hospital ICU, stayed there for 15 days, made videos, came out. Nothing has happened to him. I know of very thin people, non-diabetics, non-hypertensives, who have died.
It's kind of a medical mystery.
As I said, I gave away my number in slums and all and asked them to call me. I would not give anything other than paracetamol, inhalations, steam inhalations, and then keep the lung healthy that way, and salt water gargling. I didn't do anything other than that. I have all data, I have all treatment I gave. Nothing, 99% of my patients got that. People tried ivermectin, people tried remdesivir, people tried steroids. Now, if you ask me, half the problems are from steroids. Steroid causes something called avascular necrosis of the hip joint. The hip joint has this bone, and above is that ball, if you remember whatever. That ball dissolves with steroids. Now you have so many patients coming in for hip replacement at 20 years, 30 years because of that avascular necrosis. So you don't know whether this clot is a thing of COVID or because of the vaccine. But I personally think that either one of them has caused minute clotting throughout the blood vessels. And when that person has done vigorous exercise, not given time in between, has done very vigorous exercise, the circulation is like a dam breaking because of the exercise. It very, very fast circulation. Our circulation low, these clots heart attacks and things like that.
But are there no studies conducted in India?
We are not a very research oriented country, except Vellore. Where is the research? Very few places.
How do you find out whether someone is susceptible? Yes, if they have this small clots.
There's no.
This is all my guess. Otherwise, where are the clots coming from suddenly? To youngsters. See, there is a rule in our body. No fluid should be stagnant anywhere. Wherever that gets stagnant, you get small stones, soft stones or stones themselves. If urine stops circulating in the kidneys, you get kidney stones. If it stops circulating in the gallbladder, then you get cholesterol stones where there is bile there. So similarly, the blood easily falls down to the legs. And for it to come back, it has to come back anti-gravity. And that comes because these calf muscles are known as the second hearts of the body. When you're walking and exercising, they squeeze and send back the blood. So those people who sit for long hours, who are traveling to America, 20 hours in the flight, who don't exercise, there's blood pooling at the feet. And in that, the blood cells, RBCs and all, come together and form clots. That's how clots are formed. Because of slowing down of circulation, elderly people know. So in COVID, we don't know what happened to reduce the circulation or why the clots were formed. So that's why we say, whenever you're working in offices like this, every half an hour or so, please take around the office and come back and sit. Don't keep on sitting. Or keep moving your feet like this so that the calf muscle gets squeezed. Calf muscle is very important that it gets squeezed.
Sir, thank you so much for coming at this hour.
I hope I didn't bore you.
No. It was a very fascinating and interesting discussion. I mean, it's a really engaging conversation.